Plants need light to grow, but when a seed is first planted, it is underground in total darkness. Under those circumstances, you or I would not be able to find our way to the light. So how do seeds do it? As it turns out, they have some unexpected ways of navigating the world and literally growing up. Here is how they perform that amazing feat. Imagine you're a seed, and you just germinated. Congratulations, have a cookie. The first thing you need to know is which way is up and which way is down. Typically, light, which you desperately need to photosynthesize and start making your own food, will be up where the sun is, and water and nutrients will be down in the earth, and that's where you generally want your roots to grow. So you need to orient yourself, but you're a seed. You have no brain, no mammalian nervous system, nothing that looks like eyes or something that I could use to figure out this puzzle. But you can detect the gravitational force of the planet. I know this sounds kind of bizarre, but here is how we know this is true. In 1806, a British botanist sprouted seeds, this is a crazy idea, on a disc that was rotating in the dark. And because it was dark, the plants were not moving toward light. Instead, the centrifugal force from the spinning of the disc made the roots grow away from the center of the disc and the shoots grow toward the center. This is a cool experiment. I love it. It demonstrates that plants can sense the pull of gravity, but it does not demonstrate how they can feel gravity. We need to dig deeper. It turns out that the plants use sensory cells called statocysts in the shoots and roots. And statocysts are chock full of statoliths, which are kind of like the snow in a snow globe. They settle to one side of the cell thanks to gravity. The seedling senses where its statoliths accumulate, and that's what tells it where gravity is pushing. But it turns out statoliths aren't the only things accumulating on one side of a young plant's tissue. A growth hormone called auxin also concentrates on one side or another of the growing bits, spurred on by what's going on in the statocysts. And that is what helps the roots grow downward toward gravity and the shoots push up against it. The concentration of auxin can make one of the seedling's sides grow more than the other, bending a root or shoot in the right direction, like a paper fan opening up. Really good work for a thing that has no mammalian nervous system, just impressive plants. So the first force that tells a seedling where to grow is gravity, but gravity is not the only force acting on it. Mathematical models, and yes, there are people who study plant math, suggest that if seedlings only use statocysts to direct their growth, they would overshoot the perfect upward orientation and need to rebound to correct their angle. And the thing that helps them wiggle their way to a straight stem is self-knowledge. You may have heard of a human sense called proprioception that helps people know where their bodies exist in space. It's what helps people touch their nose with their finger when their eyes are closed or balance on a bike. Plants have proprioception too. And this means they can auto-correct if they get bent out of shape. Say if they have too much auxin on one side. The sense of self helps them know when they have gone too far so they can straighten out. But before we get to the sense that we started the video with, light, I need to enlighten our viewers with a quick advertisement.
Thanks to Henson Shaving for supporting this SciShow video. Many mainstream blades feel unstable thanks to all of their springs, pivots, and flexible mounts. That can make you feel like you have to apply more pressure, but that might increase friction and irritation. Henson razors are designed to get rid of your pressure problem. Thanks to their aerospace machining tolerances and fixed geometry, these razors don't even need springs, pivots, or lubricating strips. The blade is stabilized and precisely controls each cut, so the razor can cut effectively without irritation. To receive 100 blades for free, aka more than 2 years worth of blades, head to hensonshaving.com and use code SciShow. Just make sure all products are in the cart for the code to take effect.
At this point in the seedling's growth, it has already overcome several obstacles. It has used gravity to guide it upward and proprioception to ensure that it's growing straight. Now, it's time to use light to guide its way to its best photosynthesizing self. And I know what you're thinking, the sun is up, so growing straight up should lead the plant to light without needing to sense it in another way. But sometimes light isn't straight up. Maybe the seed sprouted under a park bench, or it's the subject of some random scientist's experiment. Scientists like Charles Darwin helped establish the idea that plants respond to light back in the 1800s. He covered growing grass shoots in aluminum foil to block out the light, though he probably called it aluminium foil. And he found that only the uncovered shoots grew toward the light. That's because while seedlings don't have eyes, they do have their own version of photoreceptors, like the rods and cones in human eyes. For light, that helpful hormone auxin does its thing again. It allows the plant to bend toward that sweet, sweet sunshine. But even with a sense of gravity, self, and light, a plant won't last long without water. Now, while scientists are still nailing down how plants search for that, they know that once they detect it, they extend their roots right into it. Researchers figured this out by putting pea plant roots in a maze that basically gave them a fork in the road. One side of the fork had water under it and the other didn't, and 8 out of 10 plants grew in that direction. Even when the water was enclosed in an underground drainage pipe. So pea plants can sense something about water running through pipes even when they can't feel the moisture. However they do it, they seem to use that as a cue for where they want their roots to grow, which means we can add water to the list of things that tell a plant which direction to go. But so far, I've only really talked about each of those factors on their own, and out there in the world, a plant will be shaped by all of these forces at the same time. They grow their shoots away from gravity, while also growing them away from themselves and toward the light. And often, these effects are additive in directing growth. Away from gravity means a plant grows straight up, and if it's in an open field, then away from itself would mean up toward the light and also grow straight up. But sometimes, these forces conflict with each other. A plant can be growing toward the light but find itself arching toward its own stem. When two forces don't totally agree, one of them has to take priority. We're talking about plants making decisions. How much a plant bends in response to one force or the other depends on factors like how much those forces disagree with each other and how powerful the force is. If light is faint, then gravity will dictate growth much more than light. And if gravity dictates that a plant should grow straight up, but it only gets its sunlight from the right side because there's a big tree blocking the sun from the left, then it will grow at an intermediate 45-degree angle between the pulls of gravity and light. Together, these forces are what shape a plant. They are all constantly interacting in the growth process. And in the end, there's still so much we don't understand about how a seed goes from this to this. But we know that they incorporate a lot of data to reach their final form. That little seed may not be able to pick up and walk away, but it sure knows where it's going.